chim bao bầu.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
Bob, for me, it's a reminder. I too been here 23 years. And it is a reminder. I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
It is close to the most wonderful time of the year, which means NFL is almost back. We are 24 hours out from a Jerry Reynolds Wednesday. And yes, we have some fresh Jera audio. Is anything better than some fresh Jera audio? We'll get to it later in the show. Welcome to the King's Court. If you're watching live on YouTube X, appreciate you. Great calls yesterday. Really good stuff. Going to talk about that in a second. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts, whatever platform it might be, thank you. Really appreciate it. This show is growing tremendously on the digital side, on the podcast side. And we had our biggest download day ever yesterday. I'm going to repeat that. Most downloads ever in a single day yesterday here on the King's Court. So you know what that means? All of you that called in yesterday, great calls, by the way, except for, Adam. That's the only thing. A couple of F-bombs got through Adam. Not from me, from Adam. But if you called yesterday, BJ, Mac, I'm forgetting somebody, Haunted Horse. Okay, I'll include you, Adam, even though
I'm not a smart man.
You were heard by a lot of people. I'm not any different than anybody else out there. Like, if you have a podcast, or you want to have a podcast, or you want to get into sports media in some type of avenue, dude, I'm just like you, dudes and dudettes, except I shot my shot. Shoot your shot. Get in here. That's what I'm telling you. I can see the analytics. I know who's listening to this show in some places. There are people listening that are inside the Golden One Center. There are people listening that are in the media here in Sacramento. So look, I've always said I'm willing to give back. I want to give back. So if this is something you want to do, start getting some reps in right now. It's the perfect time. I think it was about this time last year when Mac came around. And look at where Mac is at now as a caller. So anyways, we've got some Kings news. We can get to that in a few minutes. Also, what about Tony Romo? I'm not going to go in on him for the OWI, but it does bring up a very, very interesting impasse between him and CBS. CBS was really slow to react. They let the video come out. You find out from the police report, which they had in their hands, to act. And you get a one-sentence line from CBS saying that Tony Romo will be on leave, and I'm paraphrasing, until further notice. I think there's some more context behind this. And by the way, JJ Watt has been elevated to the #1 booth with Jim Nantz. I don't think this is strictly OWI related. Tony Romo's likability, his style in the booth, I'm not going to say it, but I have heard others say it. They feel like he's gotten very lazy in his preparation, steps over Jim Nantz all the time. And oh yeah, he's on a 10-year, $180 million contract that's going into its 6th year. So with declining likability, with Jim Nantz maybe looking for a fresher partner, somebody else, could this play into it? And there's a really damn good article in The Athletic that we are going to get to, because I think it all but kind of lays out said impasse that goes beyond the OWI. This could be that thing they were waiting for, that little trap. Well, if he does get into trouble, can we maybe get rid of that? Can we invalidate that contract? They're not directly saying it, but there's some really good reporting on it by Andrew Marchand. We will also hear from Mike Florio on that as well. Speaking of Tony Romo, I will give you a quick little taste of what Jera, in part, had to say. He was asked about Tony Romo's big mistake.
19-yard field goal attempt. Oh, it is fumbled by Romo, and then Romo's going to run to the end zone, and he's going to get tackled.
Oh, my bad. Wrong. Big mistake. Here's Jera.
Are you a little restless? Normally you have big storylines, contracts, holdout.
Different one. Cut 2. Come on, producer. Got to be better than that. Here's Jera.
I want to ask you about somebody who I know means a lot to you. Tony Romo has been through a tough stretch recently. Have you had a chance to speak to him, and what is your message to Tony right now?
Well, first of all, I have had a chance to talk with Tony since right at this particular time, and I do talk to Tony quite a bit. I don't have anybody that I've been associated with as a player, a coach, or a business partner that I think more of than I do Tony Romo. And I'm not talking about his ability to throw a football or as an athlete, just as a person, as a daddy. And one of the things that happens if you've got a lot of visibility, if you're out there, then when you hit bumps, everybody hits them. When you hit bumps, then get ready. There's going to be more made of them than they are. I know that anybody listening to me right now knows that if you're breathing, you're going to have some mistakes as you go along. And so there's no doubt in my mind that Tony will get through these times and make any type of adjustments that need to be made. But let me tell you one thing. I can't tell you how much I'm in Tony Romo's corner.
You know, Jera's not wrong. We all make mistakes. We are all imperfect. I mean, what about this last season?
There was no question in our mind that Michael could bring us a lot of resources on a trade. When you have the kind of extraordinary pass rush that Michael had, more or less, that we don't have that excellence that Michael Parsons has there, but we do have the depth. The other thing that I would like to say is I firmly made a commitment to Michael this spring. Micah.
Did you at any point talk one-on-one with Michael to try and figure this out?
Did I talk to Michael?
Micah.
There was no question in our mind
that is
Michael,
the best part. It's the best part when Stephen Jones finally has to check dad. We've all been there. My 11-year-olds checked me before, like when I didn't know what 6'7" was. I legit asked him, I'm like, so how would you like rate that meal? Like 6 or 7? He's like 6, 7. Yeah. Anyways, found out. What's up, Lynn? Link is in the chat. Also above my shoulder. David, hope you're having a good Tuesday. Remember Jerry Reynolds tomorrow. We're gonna start the show. Well, as for now, 3:00. We're starting the show. It might start at 3:15. I'll keep you up to date on that. Love Phil Sims. Huge Phil Sims house here. What's up, Rich? I think that's Rich in Texas. Yeah, the Kings going to re-sign Westbrook. I hope the Kings do it. Interesting. Okay. All right. I see you. We've talked a lot about this. I think it would be counterintuitive to Scott Perry's plan and to everything that's been sold to this fan base to bring Russell Westbrook back. That's just, unless, and I don't think based off, and maybe things change with coaches, but the organization had no boundaries for Westbrook last season. And he didn't have a bad season, but his usage rate should have never, ever, ever, ever been that high. Ever, ever, ever. Didn't make sense. Felt like a Vivek move. But interesting that you bring it up, because there is news that came out today. Well, news to you if you weren't with us on Friday for the King's Court. We were talking about guards that are still available on the free agency market. I'm going to talk about one that nobody is talking about. And at the time last Friday, nobody was talking about this guy except me. May or may not show up on that screen. Anyways, talking to somebody that scouts basketball talent and at the college level. And anyways, he was telling me about what Victor Oladipo is doing right now. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So I started looking into what Victor Oladipo's doing. He's trying to get another shot right now in the NBA. And he put out a couple of tweets, kind of a grassroots thing. And now he's working out. I found out he's working out in Greece with Giannis, or was in Greece with Giannis and some other NBA players, working out with one of the Heat's trainers. So I don't know where Victor Oladipo is at physically right now. I don't know. I need to go back. I need to look at where Victor Oladipo was at when he left the league. But wouldn't a Victor Oladipo type of player as a backup be a really good fit for the Kings? I don't know if he's ready NBA wise, but if you're looking at guys that are unsigned and you have somebody like Victor that's scratching and clawing to do anything to get back into the NBA, which means they are going to embrace any type of role on an NBA team, it's an interesting name to think about. And again, I don't know physically where he looks good. He looks really good, by the way, physically. I watched one of his workouts. Looks really good. But I thought that was an interesting name. It stuck with me. So could Victor Oladipo maybe be somebody the Kings could consider? I like that name. Dude was a bona fide, he was a really good basketball player. Now, to be transparent, I don't remember why he went out of the league. It might have been injuries. I would have to go back and look at that. But everybody says vet, somebody that can handle the ball, somebody that when they need to has shown the ability to score. Victor Oladipo. Put that name in your back pocket. You might not hear it again here in Sacramento, but I haven't heard anybody else say that name here in Sacramento. So I wanted to throw that out there. Victor Oladipo. How about that? So turns out the Kings did attend a workout that Victor put on during Summer League in Vegas, which leads to the subsequent reporting that's come out from a few different places. Report the Kings are considering bringing back Russell Westbrook and also have interest in signing Victor Oladipo. From Jake Fisher, and this was about 14 hours ago. Jake Fisher himself, Russell Westbrook and Victor Oladipo rank as two of several veteran guard options Sacramento will continue weighing, for a late summer backcourt addition. Sources say the Kings were among several teams that observed Oladipo's workout in Las Vegas during Summer League. So there you go. We're all over it. That is like 101 why you should be around here in the King's Court. You get it before sometimes. You get it other places in different ways. Doing our homework. For me, I would looking at the two options, and I don't think, and maybe they would, considering what happened last year. But if nobody else is injured, I don't see a reason to bring both of these guys in. It doesn't make sense. But Victor Oladipo, my guess will be, is going to have plenty, and I mean plenty, of training camp invites. He will have at least probably 6 is a number that comes to mind. Now, will a team give him a vet minimum before training camp? TBD. We'll see. But I like Victor Oladipo a lot more than I like Russell Westbrook at this point in both careers, considering, and this has nothing to do, and we went over this yesterday, with Russell Westbrook's what he is in the locker room, what he is for the young guys, because you've heard so many of them gush about Russ, and it's true. He's really good in all those places. The vets love having him. But as we saw yesterday with that scouts, I forget what the scout said exactly. In fact, I'll pull it up on my phone really quick. We played, or at least we showed, a comment from a scout about Russell Westbrook. And here is what the scout said. The scout said, oh, there's Scott Perry. Okay, I know we have it. Here we go. It's from Hoops Alert. An NBA scout explains why Russell Westbrook is still unsigned. Quote, I wouldn't touch him in a million years. You can't rely on him in terms of what's going to happen. Yeah, he'll have great games, sure, but he can't shoot. He plays his own way. He's not going to fit into a system. He doesn't really defend. In terms of building a winning team, you don't get him on your team. I think that's pretty much spot on. And Russ can still play, okay? But the amount of usage, and again, because the Kings didn't set those boundaries last year, what makes me think those boundaries are going to be set this year? And if those boundaries are set and you bring Russ back, let's look back at his previous destinations and some of the trouble he's had dealing with roles and dealing with boundaries. Didn't work in Los Angeles, didn't work in Houston, and in the end, a lot of reports saying it didn't work in Denver. He was part of the not Adelman, but he was part of the talk when Michael Malone was fired. This is a pivotal year, by the way, for the Kings too. It's a massive year because after this season, they are sitting nice when it comes to payroll. They are going to have plenty of money to play with. Because of that, I need the most I can get. I need accelerated development. I need on-the-job training between the baselines, night in and night out, for 94 feet, for 48 minutes, from the bricks that Scott Perry talks about that are building what the Sacramento Kings want to be. So Oladipo, let's talk about him really quick. Why did he go out of the league? He had some injuries. Don't forget, though, like some of his accomplishments for a while, I mean, he was, I don't need to explain how good he was. He was really good. He's been a comeback player of the year. I believe he's a multiple-time All-Star, two-time All-Star, 2018, 2019, 2018 Most Improved Player, 2018 NBA Third Team, 2018 NBA All-Defensive First Team. How about that? All-Defensive First Team. Now, he's not going to be that if the Kings sign him, but at least you know that's there. Mentally, defense does not go away if you're a defensive player. There's a lot that could be learned. So in some of his last seasons, he bounced around. He was with the Heat in 22-23, played 42 regular season games. From there, He ended up with the Thunder, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, and last season he was playing with the Wisconsin Herd in the G League. So he's been kind of scrapping and trying to get back. He averaged roughly about 14 points in limited action. He's played some overseas, but that to me, even the body type, I really, if you give me the choice between Victor Oladipo and Russell Westbrook, I'm taking Victor Oladipo. Now, if you say who would win in a game of one-on-one between Russell Westbrook and Victor Oladipo, I'm taking Russell Westbrook. But that's where building a team does not mean you take all of the best players available. This is not the draft. The Kings are not using the 7th pick on their 13th or their 14th and their 15th roster spots. This is about person and fit. Scott Perry said person will be the priority over position. So I just like the mindset of an Oladipo that's clawing to get back into the league, a guy that's going to be grateful for that opportunity. Not that Russ isn't, but also the defense that he's shown in his past. And I've watched his workouts that are online. He looks good. He looks really good. Definitely can handle the basketball. So where do you stand on that? So glad that we were ahead of it. We had it last Friday here on the show talking about Oladipo. So let's check in with all of you, see what's going on today. Tristan Saboner will be a great mentor. See, I'm talking about opportunity. I'm talking about, take your swing. You don't know who's listening to this. Don't judge this by the YouTube numbers at 3:00 in August. You don't know who's listening, Tristan. You think Domas is going to take kindly to a Saboner blast? Not me saying that, Domas. That's Tristan that's saying that. I want to make that really clear. Damn, Tristan. Tristan always looking for his little drops. Come on, Tristan. Pay attention. Pay attention, Tristan. Let's go. Come on. Tristan, pay attention.
Every team really needs what I call a shitbird.
Yeah, he's our shitbird. I know BJ likes to think he is. No, he's our bird. But we accept him. We love us some Tristan. He's loyal to the brand. Appreciate him. Good dude, too. But Tristan, pay attention. Got it? Pay attention.
Tristan, pay attention. Pay attention.
Yeah, come on, Tristan.
Come on.
What's up, Flores? Hope you're keeping cool. Dude, you can probably hear, I have a fan down here. I don't know how well my mic is blocking it out, but it's probably a little bit audible. It's so hot. It is. And you know what? Like, I don't call me a baby. I don't like the heat. Give me like the snow, give me cold weather, because you can always warm up. It's really hard to cool down. So okay, you know what's funny? The air conditioner has been fine because, like the ACs. Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Good to know. So that means I can crank up. So I'm on the lowest setting of the fan right now. So that means I can crank it up a little bit higher tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, you can only put the OC or the AC to a certain temperature where, it's not going to get to 65 on days when you're in triple digits. So I set it at like, I don't know, 69, 70, right around there. But it's been fine. It's working. I've got a cold pool out there. It's almost like a cold plunge if I need it. But you know what gave up on me? It actually did the opposite to me. My refrigerator. My freaking refrigerator. It's 100 degrees outside, but my refrigerator decided it needed to be minus 30 and froze everything in it. I just went grocery shopping. So I have a very cold fridge I can stick my head into. I hope all of y'all are staying cool as well. and staying hydrated. So we started off talking, and thanks for being here, King's Court. If you want to call, I will put the link again in the chat. You can talk about whatever you want. There's a different way you want to go. Adam, we're not doing a wrestling segment, but yes, I did watch Monday Night Raw last night. I didn't catch the last match, but pretty good show overall. Some good returns. We'll talk about it on Friday, where we've talked about Tony Romo a little bit. We've played some Jerry Jones. We're going to do some more of that. We're going to read that article from The Athletic and this whole thing with Tony Romo. You didn't freeze your Dr. Peppers. I know you get in trouble for that. Yes, I do. Now, there has been a slight change. When I do go for a soda these days, it's a cherry Pepsi. I've swerved away from the Dr. Pepper. But no, actually, again, everything froze. So, like, anything that's fresh, you got to toss it. You can't defrost lettuce. Like, it's just like, oh, my goodness. Put your head in there. That's what I'm going to do. But I do have 2 little compartments down low where the temperature's, like, right. So, in the dial situation, it's not as simple as you think. You're probably like, Ryno, just turn the dial. No, it's not that simple. So anyways, so yeah, if you want to talk about anything else, we can. We've got that article from The Athletic. We've got Jerry Jones sound, which is always great this time of year. We also have our Discord that's going to be launching here in the very near future. I've been working my tail off to make sure that this is a very fun and more importantly, exclusive and I don't want to say special, but I want you to feel like a VIP. If you're part of our Discord, and, you know, I try to go the extra mile to make everybody feel like a VIP in here, unless your name's Adam or Haunted Horse. But that's what I want this Discord to be. You know, stuff like Oladipo. You know, maybe I'm dropping that in Discord. My conversation with somebody that I think the Kings are going to bring into training camp for a try, a name that you might be familiar with, things like that. So we are going to be launching before the 26-27 season. We're going to be doing some live watch parties, some monthly events. We're going to do a game night where we give away different prizes as well. And also, I'll be posting some stuff in here that only you will be able to get. Yeah, Ryno's going to do some writing. How about that? Looking forward to it. So if you want to join, you still can. $20 get you the entire season, and a Founders t-shirt, compliments of Bennett's Restaurants. Big thanks to Brian and the team over at Bennett's for sponsoring the Discord this season. So don't join now, or if you don't want to join now, no problem. You want to see what it's about first or hear from everybody else that is a founder, you can still sign up on a monthly basis once we launch. So looking forward to it. Yeah. So what's up? Any other topics that we need to get to before I keep rolling? Is there something else that you want to talk about? A different way that you want to go? Because I've still got a decent amount of content between Jara and Tony and CBS. That's the really interesting one. Niners, I didn't hear of any injuries today. That's a good thing. Peter, will the Yahoo Pro Football Pick'em League be coming back for a 5th season? Good question. Probably. Need to talk. Well, Grant gives me the autonomy to make decisions like that. Yeah, it will most likely be coming back. We're not going to do the playoffs, though. We're just going to do the regular season. We're not going to go as long. It's too long for everybody. People start forgetting at that point when we get to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and you've got the holidays. So, yeah, we're going to, if we do it, it will be the regular season. So I think Peter won last season. Peter, did you win last season? Forget who it was that won. Let me know where you stand, Oladipo or Westbrook. Y'all know where I stand. I've kind of laid that out over the course of the season. But yeah, if you're just joining us, this is what Jake Fisher had to say. Russell Westbrook and Victor Oladipo rank as 2 of several veteran guard options for the Kings. They'll continue weighing them until late summer. Makes sense. So yeah, Westbrook, you would not bring in. Peter won season 2. Westbrook, you wouldn't bring in to try out in training camp, but if the Kings want Oladipo, because I think he's going to have multiple training camp invites, that'll be interesting. Okay, would he choose Sacramento if it was just an invite? What would be the motivation to choose Sacramento? Younger team. He's going to come in. He's going to know what his role is. I like the fact that he's been a all defensive player. That makes a huge difference. He's a vet. Came into the league in 2013, 2014. Younger legs than Westbrook. 6'4". A little bit bigger. Length is there. Just under 2,000 career assists. 8,500 points scored. I like Oladipo. I think he's got something to prove. And understand, I'm not telling you, or I'm not trying to suggest that Victor Oladipo is going to make this a 30-win Sacramento Kings team. It's not what I'm suggesting. But given the fact that he is so hungry for an opportunity, it just feels right. Definitely would not be a hostage. He would be a volunteer. So I like, see, and I went back and I looked at the players. It's funny. I just Googled it a couple of days ago to try to get into Scott Perry's mindset, because I feel like I have a pretty good pulse on where things are at, the direction things are going, what's important, what isn't important, who's in the plan, who's out of the plan. And I think our track record, my track record here, has been pretty damn good about explaining those things and bringing some stuff up that, you know, ends up coming to fruition. So I Googled Scott's picks, the guys that they got when he was in New York, to try to think like, okay, and that's been the big question. What's a Scott Perry player look like, right? Who's a Scott Perry player? And, you know, his answer to me, it was at the trade deadline. I asked about the Kings, and, you know, I, for a couple of years, have been enamored, and especially when Stockton was managed by Gabriel Harris, I was really interested on the development between Stockton and Sacramento. And I was really focused on, you know, the importance of these two-way players and how important it is to be able to get them to a spot where they can contribute on an NBA team at a smaller price, right? But not be a program in the G League that's just rolling the basketball out and saying, go score 100 points. It was quite the opposite. Stockton was simulating many of the looks that those guys would get if they stepped into an NBA game. If they stepped into an NBA game, they weren't going to be asked to score, you know, 40 points a game. It's not how it works. No, you're going to be asked to defend. You're going to be asked to do some of the other stuff. Maybe make a play here, knock down a shot. And for the most part, those guys were doing it. So when I asked Scott Perry about the fact that the organization has now had 3 years in a row with guys that have converted from two ways to full-time roster members, and all three were undrafted, he ended up going in a different direction than I expected. And he talked a lot about Dylan Cardwell, but in talking about Dylan Cardwell, a lot of what he had to say gave me, and I think it laid out a little bit of what he is looking for in players from an athletic standpoint. So it was a very interesting answer. I wish I could find it. Do we have it queued up anywhere? I don't think we do. But yeah, we do not have it queued up. Darn it. All I have is this.
And both of these guys are volunteers.
No doubt.
Sure.
So that's why I looked back at some of the players that he, some missed. Knox, Miles McBride, one in particular, RJ Barrett, was a guy that he brought in. So yeah, it's the way that you kind of work backwards to figure out what might be, what might be in play. Who's on the whiteboard? That's all that I'm trying to work through at this point. So Peter talking about fantasy football. Tristan, yeah, you guys are just talking about fantasy football. Okay. Among other things, Portland ownership has been cheap. Yeah, I know. And they're asking for public funding to redo the Moda Center. Very interesting stuff. All right, let's break up the monotony of the summer with some Jerry Jones. I don't know. I haven't listened to it. I don't know what Jerry Jones is going to say. First sit-down interview before training camp. Here we go. Love us some Jerry.
This year, it seems to be all about football. How is that for you right now?
Well, let me just say this. It just, again, shows me the psychology of things. I think it was talked about earlier because of the time between the draft and now that we haven't had something that was really, if you will say, juicy in that area to talk about. Then all of a sudden we start talking about it being a little quiet, and we tell our mirror it's being quiet, and we tell each other, and all of a sudden it's quiet, or all of a sudden it can be controversial. We haven't had something like we had last year with the Parson contract. But what we have done is we've really done some things that gave it a chance to be noisier if it wanted to be noisier, but they just didn't get that type of attention. But let me just say this, Patrick. You know that I believe if it gets too quiet, if it gets slow, I stir it up. And I do that purposely because I like to keep the, if you will, the debate going on.
No surprise there. It was not a quiet summer for your stadium in North Texas. The World Cup, the 9 matches there were a huge success by just about every measure. Congratulations on that. In one way that it was successful was some changes to Dallas Stadium, the putting in of natural grass and the use of curtains during the game. These are things that your players have talked about before, and you have said that you're not interested in doing that.
It's actually a really good question. There's a solid movement right now by the NFL players that they want turf or they want grass in all the stadiums. I don't think, one, it would be very expensive and difficult for every team to do that for an entire NFL season. And 2, you would have to probably negotiate that in the CBA. I just don't see the owners going that way. But I stopped it because last season, if you remember, there was a lot of talk about the lighting that was coming through AT&T Stadium to the point that, fans, media were suggesting that curtains be put up at AT&T Stadium. And if I remember correctly, and I'm going to paraphrase it, Jerry Jones responded along these lines. Well, it's a disadvantage for both teams, but we're used to it. So no, it's part of the home field advantage playing at AT&T Stadium. So good job by this reporter sneaking that in.
I'm curious if the success that you had with those two things in particular during the World Cup, if it's changed your perspective when it comes to those things in any way.
Well, if all that stadium did was do soccer, then you might have that permanent grass field. If all it had were soccer games, then you might have the suites removed that we removed from around the sidelines, the alterations that we made to have those soccer games.
but that stadium wasn't built for soccer. We made it, we adapted it. What it was built for, it's best not to have grass. It's best to have turf. What it was built for is the elements. Football is really one of the big parts of it is you play the game with elements as part of the obstacles. Unless it's lightning in the NFL, you play in anything, any kind of weather. And so I feel very good about what we adapted the stadium for soccer, but that just wouldn't work for our football and what we do with all the other events that we have out there all year.
I don't know about the lighting. I'm going to leave that to Jarrah and Cowboys fan, but he's not wrong about the turf. He's actually closer to being right than wrong, because think about not just the NFL games, but the amount of college games that are held at AT&T Stadium. You would have to have multiple fields growing at the same time in every single city. And Dallas probably would be, and it's not an easy place, but one of the easier places to have grass. But as somebody put in the chat, Lambeau Field, I mean, they do it. I know they find a way to do it, but nobody else touches Lambeau Field. That's the thing. The only people that touch Lambeau Field are the Packers for, 8 games a year? 9 games a year? Those are the only people that touch that field. You don't have college games there. They're able to prep that field year round. Like, when was the last time you saw an event at Lambeau Field that was not the Packers? Or, the draft, concerts. I think there's been a couple of them. But when we were at Lambeau a couple of years ago, right around this time, actually, a couple of years ago, even if you did the advanced tour, you could not step anywhere near the field. You could be like on the outer edges, and they've got it all roped off. And in fact, even during the season, seriously, during the season, they do that. They do not let fans, casuals walk around. It is players and coaches. So, but Lambeau, yeah, that's not an easy place to grow the grass. Patrick, and don't forget the Jets and the Giants sometimes play there. The same, exactly. That's the point. There's so many college teams that utilize NFL stadiums throughout a season. Patrick is now a arborist. Is that what it's called? An arborist at MetLife Stadium, where they had the World Cup. They had to get the grass ready for the finals, and nobody played on it for a week and a half. And these are soccer players. Can you imagine football? Yeah. Look, MetLife needs to do something with their field. Something's wrong there. I do think there is an inordinate amount of injuries that are occurring on that turf. But the soccer players were actually complaining about the turf at MetLife. Funny enough, they were not exactly thrilled based off of the other. Pardon me. I am not a smart man.
I'm not a smart man.
Not the field, the pitch. They were saying it was a little bit harder than what they would have liked. Go ahead and have fun with that, Haunted Horse. I know you will, somewhere out there. All right, so Jarrah, not going to address the curtains. All right, Cowboys fan, let's see what else Jarrah has to say.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! I want to ask you about somebody who I know means a lot to you. Tony Romo has been through
we already played that.
A tough stretch recently.
His ability to football, or as an athlete, just as a person, as a daddy. And one of the things that happens if you've got a lot of visibility, and when you hit bumps, everybody listening to me right now, doubt in my mind that Tony will.
And then the NFL made the change to the rule to be able to sell the minority ownership stake back in 2024. And then Steven was on 105.3 The Fan recently and said that you all have not closed the door on potentially considering that down the road. You and I both know 10%, which is the maximum allowed, of the Dallas Cowboys is very different than 10% of most pro sports franchises. You're worth $13 billion by some estimates. Would you actually consider selling part of the Dallas Cowboys with these new rules? And if so, what are you looking for in a partner?
Well, first of all, no, I'm not considering it. There's something that is fundamental. Anytime you're in a activity, if that activity, whether it be church,
hold on, we're getting life advice. Listen closely. Listen closely. Looks like we're gonna get some life advice from Jera.
It be city, whether it be family, whether it be, as it turns out, sports, whether it be business. If that activity is very friendly and attracts capital, you can be sure that it's either thriving or got a chance to thrive. It's when that the activity doesn't merit people wanting to be involved in it financially that it's got a big challenge ahead. I could have never seen 30, 40 years ago when I got involved with the Cowboys where things are financially today. But I'm rewarded because I know, again, whether it's family, whether it's city or whatever measure you want to take the organization, if it has the available to get capital, then the participants, the framework of what it's doing has even a better chance to thrive and be everything it can be. There's no question in my mind that the ability to get capital in the NFL over the last 25 or 30 years has really contributed to the quality and the level of play that we have in the NFL.
Jerry, do you even know where the Super Bowl is at? Do you think Jerry knows?
It isn't on my schedule.
Okay. It's not on the Cowboys schedule. John Finch, dude. Sorry about that. That's from Jera. That's not from me. That's Jera speaking. Damn, Cowboy fan. That's rough. That's rough. It is in Los Angeles. It's one of Jerry's best lines. Los Angeles. Jerry, where's the Super Bowl?
Los Angeles.
Good job, Jer. Knocked it out of the park. All right. So we talk a little bit about Jerry Jones. It's something we do in the regular season when he's on 105.3. They're probably going to be starting almost in the next week or so. We're 48 hours from the Hall of Fame game. We will be following up with Jared because you never know what you're going to get from Jera. We started the show with him. He just says, like, at Christmas time, you might get
There's a pony in here somewhere is the old adage with the boy scooping up the manure on Christmas Day and whistling while he was doing it. Here comes Santa Claus. Well, that's us.
So you're saying that your team is crap, but you're happy because it's the season.
There's a pony in here somewhere is the old adage with the boy scooping up the manure on Christmas Day and whistling while he was doing it. Here comes Santa Claus. Well, that's us.
Blind pony looking for a ride.
There's a pony in here somewhere is the old adage with the boy scooping up the manure on Christmas Day.
All right, we move on. Speaking of Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, another ex-Cowboy that has been very much in the news cycle over the last week and a half. And funny enough, Wisconsin also involved in this. Tony Romo. So as I've said, no excuse for getting behind the wheel and driving after a couple of pops, especially this day and age. Uber, Lyft, tons of programs that give rides. Hell, shoot me a message on X. I'll give you a ride if it's that bad. So he gets picked up for OWI. He did the right thing legally, not taking, and this is not legal advice, I must say that, by too many legal analysts, he did the right thing, not taking the test, but they towed his car and he had open containers or an open container of alcohol in the car. And CBS was kind of slow to react to all this. And before this OWI even happened, there was a lot of naysayers. I know Grant does not enjoy Tony Romo's commentary anymore. I am not a big Tony Romo guy anymore. I found him at first to be incredibly refreshing. Like, okay, like he's giving you like some inside football, right, while the game's going on. But then the talking over Jim Nantz all the time, the weird sounds that this guy's making in the booth. This is not made up. This is all Tony Romo.
Never touched him. That's a catch. We got to see this. Oh, that's loose. That is definitely. Oh.
And sustain it for the last 8.5.
So many say, and I would agree with those many, that Tony has lost his step in the booth. Maybe it's just because he's been around for so long and there's certain stats or certain bar that we hold him to, or you expect when you tune in to a game that's being done by Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Also, if Jim Nantz is doing something, he deserves a certain standard, a certain level of a partner. And, just for me, it felt like Tony wasn't really carrying his weight all the time. And what was cute before and interesting became very overdone and annoying. Calling out plays before they happen and then they don't happen. Using terms that nobody knows unless you're in the NFL. Again, talking over Jim Nantz. So there's been an argument for a while. And I got to give one guy credit. That's Tom Brady. His first season, his first game was rough. But as it went on, Tom's gotten a lot better. He has loosened up a lot. And I think he's doing some pretty damn good work. Now, CBS finally, about a week ago, reacted to the news. Well, it was Friday, so not a week ago, a few days ago, reacted to the news of Tony's OWI. Baki, if you want to get in, call back, I'll get you on. And so they put him on permanent leave or leave until further notice. What's interesting, though, most people thinking, okay, it's going to be preseason. He'll be back for the regular season. No, they announced that they're promoting J.J. Watt to that position with Jim Nantz. So where does this leave Tony Romo? He's under a 10-year, $180 million contract. He would be going into his 6th season of that. And Andrew Marchand, I thought, did a really great job in The Athletic of painting a picture that this is more than the OWI. Maybe the OWI was just the mechanism for a change CBS was maybe trying to look into making. How do we make that? Do we eat the money? Do we move him down? Because you can't. Yeah, I'm getting there, Peter. You can't just demote Tony and put him to the second team and be paying him that much money. You just can't do it. As much money as the NFL makes, it's not how it works. So Mike Florio earlier today on Pro Football Talk was talking about the situation with Romo. Here is what Mike Florio had to say.
So it was kind of surprising and maybe very telling when CBS issued a one-sentence statement on Friday that Romo is on leave until further notice. Not long after that, it became clear that they had decided to elevate J.J. Watt to the number 1 team with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson, which implies very strongly that this leave of absence isn't going to end before week 1, which is still more than a month away. In theory, it could have ended by then. And the threshold question for me, beyond whether or not there's a chance this is just very temporary and he'll be back and ready to go week 1, which obviously was answered with the news that Watt had been promoted. I want to know how this leave came to be. And my guess is, based upon the way it was handled, the way it was worded, the way it was dropped, it looks like this is something CBS decided to do, not something Tony Romo asked for. That's the unanswered question, but if you have to make a semi-educated guess based upon the evidence we have available to us, it looks like it was a decision that was made by CBS and foisted upon Tony Romo, whether he wanted it or not.
Certainly. A lot of people, there were reports actually that there was going to be no punishment from CBS because in Wisconsin, it is not a criminal offense, OWI. Believe it is an infraction. So Andrew Marchand in The Athletic kind of dived in to what's going on between CBS and Tony Romo. This is Andrew Marchand from The Athletic. When CBS Sports signed Tony Romo to a 10-year, $180 million contract in 2020, a top sports media executive called me immediately and said, quote, "This is the worst contract in sports or in media history, not just sports, in media history," end quote. CBS has called a timeout on the deal after Romo's arrest for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Following the arrest, has been a steady drip of new information, including a 45 minutes worth of multi-angle video of the traffic stop during which Romo is given a citation for an open container of alcohol that contradicted him saying he had no drinks. Okay, so that's an interesting point, because is it now his credibility that can be a little bit shot? Is that maybe what CBS is thinking? Well, he's lying on camera. And I do have to say this. You know how many times you see these athletes or you see famous people that are pulled over and they play the "do you know who the heck I am" card? Like, you realize who I am, right? The only thing worse than playing that card is passive aggressively playing that card without actually saying who you are. And that's what Tony Romo did during the 45 minutes with the officer. Yes, I agree. They could not hear each other at first, which then led to him getting out of the car. It's kind of hard to hear when you're on a noisy highway and the winds are howling in Wisco. But as he gets to the sobriety tests and she's asking him questions, even the one about concussions, she's like, have you suffered any concussions lately? So Tony, like, even getting into the cop car, well, I'm a big guy, I've had back surgery. He was playing the card without saying his name. Dude, just say your name at that point. Say, "I'm Tony freaking Romo." You either go with the card or you don't go with the card, and you act like you are just like everyone else. Don't do the in-between. The cover-up is worse than the crime. Do not do it, Tony. And he did it. Anyways, back to the article. The incident led the network to announce that Romo is on leave from his role at CBS until further notice. CBS elevated J.J. Watt to team with Jim Nance in the network's #1 booth and offered no further comment. Romo's contract calls for him to receive a nearly implausible $72 million over the next 4 years, but he is going to have to make quite a case to get his top job back. It's not impossible, but it is going to take some work. CBS clearly does not want the cloud from his story to shade the most important property. Obviously, I'm interjecting. The NFL. In less than 2 weeks, it has its NFL seminar for all on-air talent and production staff, which includes a session in front of the media. Romo was supposed to be there. On September 13th, the first Sunday of the NFL regular season, the network's showcase game matches the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Romo was supposed to be there. On September 21st, Romo now has a scheduled court date in Wisconsin. On September 27th, CBS's late afternoon marquee game is from Brazil between the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens. Romo was supposed to be there. Right now, CBS doesn't want Romo any of those places. Well, I'm sure CBS, they never wanted him in court, but I'm sure CBS would like Tony Romo to show up for court. Void the contract. We'll talk about it. For sure, dude. Hope you're doing well. Hope that fire has slowed down. Baki, hope all is well over there with you. So if he misses, and this is Andrew Marchand from The Athletic, if he misses the first month of the season, when does he return? How does he return? With CBS slated to air a Super Bowl in February 2028, would he have a chance then? His poor performance in recent seasons is a factor here. Romo comes across as a very affable guy, and many have described him over the years as a, quote, big kid. But he is not known as a hard worker, and it has shown on the air. Prior to this massive new deal, Nance and Romo were welcoming comparisons to Pat Summerall and John Madden. Since then, the duo has regressed, and Romo often sounded unprepared, saying odd things. Last January, the higher-seeded Jacksonville Jaguars were at home to face the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round, and Romo appeared on the pregame show. When the camera found him, he said of the Jaguars, quote, "I'm telling you, they can win this game today." I'm telling you, they can win this game today, end quote. The remark drew almost immediate scorn on social media for its acuity because, of course, the higher seed with the home field advantage team could win. Duh. Come on, Tony.
I'm not a smart man.
The Bills needed a touchdown or a late touchdown from Josh Allen to be victorious, but that's not the point. Like all on-air TV contracts, Romo's deal includes a morals clause, one that the networks can challenge if a star is unable to represent their brand in a positive fashion after a public embarrassment. If Romo were still working at a Madden-like level, his case to keep his job would be stronger. Since he was already trending the wrong way, he has some work to do. Networks build their marketing campaigns around their top crews. It's every time, or every time Romo says something off, here is a GIF referring to a portion of his arrest video. Is that a problem for CBS? It's a great point. It's a really good point. It's an excellent point, actually, because, and I do it jokingly, playing this stuff from Tony Romo, but imagine. Sorry, I just blew your ears off. Apologize for that. Imagine stuff like this from him.
Never touched it. That's a catch. We got to see this. Oh, that's loose.
I bet
that is definitely. Oh.
I bet you could probably go on X right now. You could probably go on YouTube right now and find this audio synced up with his OWI test. So that's a really good point by Andrew Marchand. Back to the article. Could he return on the number 2 crew with Ian Eagle, or could CBS tell him he has to even go further down the lineup, perhaps to convince him to walk away? Appearing in the studio could become an option, but that might be too out in front for CBS. 6 years ago, one of the reasons CBS's CBS Sports chairman Sean McManus and President David Burson signed Romo to the crazy contract right before the pandemic was because ESPN was in hot pursuit before ESPN eventually landed Joe Buck and Troy Aikman from Fox. It's Monday Night Football. Booths were consistently a hot mess. Yeah, it was. Monday Night Football booths were a hot mess for a minute. It's a good point. In 2020, CBS outbid ESPN in part because the overall negotiation for rights to the game packages was about to begin. At the time, prior to COVID, there was some thought inside Disney to potentially not only keeping Monday Night Football on ESPN, but also to go after CBS's Sunday afternoon package for ABC. Going into the negotiation with Romo, CBS's side instead of Disney, or let's see, going into the negotiation with Romo on CBS's side instead of Disney's roster was considered a boon. A boon? It's a boon. I guess I'm not a smart man. It's a boon. Considered a boon to the Tiffany network? Now? Question mark? That is why we are here. Starting at what might be the worst contract in sports media TV history, Romo could still make a comeback, but he is going to have to put in a lot of work both on and off the field. But if he is not welcome back, there is no way he's going to just give up the $72 million he is owed. Romo's deal may indeed end up the worst in sports media history. At this point, he and CBS are both going to need quite a comeback to avoid that fate. What a battle of dueling pianos there, right? Like I said, this is, and Andrew Marchand said the same thing. This is a different story. If Tony Romo is doing really well in the booth, I am sure CBS was already looking. There's enough of the memes and jokes about Romo out there, one of which referenced in the article, but I'm sure they were looking at ways to shake things up involving Romo and Nance. And you know Nance ain't the problem. Hello, friends. It's not Nance. It's Romo. Will Tony Romo be on TV this year for CBS? What would you put the odds at? I would put the odds Tony Romo on TV for CBS this year. It's a good question. What do you have the odds at? Romo has to take that negative and turn it into a positive without it costing the network anything. Well, yeah, 100%. He's going to have to go above and beyond. I mean, this isn't a guy that needs a makeover. Like publicly, He's not usually in trouble. He's fairly likable, but inside the booth, as the article said, I know me personally, I agree, Patrick. I know. Too bad they're on different brands. I love Greg Olson. I love Greg Olson. He is so good in the booth. But CBS, I think Tony's going to have to do something special, because if he doesn't, I think CBS is probably very much going to be looking into the morals clause. And on top of that, Tony's going to have to deal with a bunch of crap from CBS. You think CBS, as he goes through the process of trying to integrate back in with them, you think they're going to make it easy? No. They are going to make that an uphill, muddy climb. They're going to try to frustrate him. They are going to try and corner him. They're going to do everything they can to try to get him to walk away. Tony, I got some advice for you, brother. Kill him with kindness. Kill him with kindness, my man. Don't take the bait. Don't do it. You can come back from this. This is not something, this is not so much about the OWI as it is work performance versus pay scale. The OWI is now just opened up. It was CBS getting a golden ticket to a degree. Don't forget, CBS has different owners now too. Good point by you. All right, let's go to the phones. See if Lynn. Oh, there he is. Lynn, how you doing?
What is happening, Ryno? Long time. Haven't called the show in a long time, man. How you been?
Been well. Good to hear from you. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. So let me ask you a question. Let me change the subject up. Did you get a passport yet?
No.
Okay, I will be sending some pictures to you of where you could go with a passport starting sometime toward the end of the week, most of next week for you.
You heading out on vacation?
Heading on vacation too.
Good for you, man. Where are you guys headed?
Yeah. Heading to beautiful Iceland.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, me, my wife, and our son.
Sweet.
So basically, we are going to go check out the solar eclipse and hop on at the same time. I check out the solar eclipse, we're going to be doing a cruise around the island, checking out the whole island of Iceland.
Very cool. So are you cruise guy?
Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. I mean, I do the Christmas market sometimes where I go and do it land. So I do about 50-50.
Okay. All right. Good stuff.
Cruise is good if you want to try a lot of different spots. Like back in 2019, we did a 14-day cruise, 3 stops in Ireland, 2 in Iceland, 2 in Norway, Amsterdam, and Belgium in 14 days. So if you want to see a lot of places, a cruise could work out in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you are you going to get to see the Northern Lights in Iceland?
Not this time of year because you have the midnight sun. So basically, the sun is up for about 20 hours.
Okay.
So you have maybe about 3 to 4 hours of darkness, depending on what part of Iceland you are in.
Got it.
So it's a little bit different. The Northern Lights usually run about September through the winter, the fall and the winter months mostly.
Cool. Well, if I had a passport, I would probably know that.
You actually can go to Alaska and see the Northern Lights in September, and you don't need a passport to go to Alaska, which Alaska is cool. You should actually go to Alaska. But you can't cruise in Alaska because they always go through Vancouver or British Columbia. So you get a passport for that one.
All right.
But you can fly directly to Fairbanks and check out some cool stuff.
That'll work. Get some king crab. All right. What's up, dude? What do you got for me?
That was it, man. I was just checking on the passport. Got not much talking sports. Basketball's down, and I know you don't like talking racing too much, so I'm going to let you go back to your interesting NFL talk.
All right, dude. I appreciate it. Hey, have a safe trip. Okay?
Thanks. Peace out.
All right.
See you later, Ryan.
Later, brother. Good stuff from Lynn. You know, I'm gonna get with Lynn. I am gonna get with Lynn. Here's what Lynn. When you get back from vacation, actually, if you have some time to yourself and you wanna put some thoughts together, we need to get you to lob Romy a call. You've talked about it before. I think you would have gotten on, but like I think your delivery, your knowledge, you've got something there, dude. Because your content, your delivery and your energy is just as important, if not more important, than your content. If you're somebody that is a roam caller, I want you to lob that call, dude. Happy to help in any way that I can. Happy to help. It is one thing that I do want to see, hopefully, before I'm on the other side of the dirt. I would love to see the Northern Lights. Things look gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So thanks to Lynn for calling. Thanks to all you for being here live on the King's Court. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, your preferred podcast platform, really appreciate you. Biggest day, single download day that we have ever had in the history of the podcast yesterday. So appreciate everybody. Callers, like I said at the start of the show, there's people listening. If you want to take a shot, you want to shoot your shot, you want to take a swing, you have a podcast and you want to promote it to a degree, depending on what your podcast is about, happy to help. But you got to be good. You got to come on here, make an impact. If you're just joining us, we have talked about Victor Oladipo. We've talked about Russell Westbrook, some reports that came out from Jake Fisher about 18 hours ago. But we here in the King's Court, we talked about Victor Oladipo Friday not show up on that screen. Anyways, talking to somebody that scouts basketball talent and at the college level. And anyways, he was telling me about what Victor Oladipo is doing right now. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So I started looking into what Victor Oladipo's doing. He's trying to get another shot right now in the NBA. And he put out a couple of tweets, kind of a grassroots thing. And now he's working out. I found out he's working out in Greece with Giannis, or was in Greece with Giannis and some other NBA players, working out with one of the Heat's trainers. So I don't know where Victor Oladipo is at physically right now. I don't know. I need to go back. I need to look at where Victor Oladipo was at when he left the league. But wouldn't a Victor Oladipo type of player as a backup be a really good fit for the Kings? I don't know if he's ready NBA wise, but if you're looking at guys that are unsigned and you have somebody like Victor that's scratching and clawing to do anything to get back into the NBA, which means they are going to embrace any type of role on an NBA team, it's an interesting name to think about. And again, I don't know physically where he looks good. He looks really good, by the way, physically. I watched one of his workouts. Looks really good. But I thought that was an interesting name. It stuck with me. So could Victor Oladipo maybe be somebody the Kings could consider? I like that name. Dude was a bona fide, he was a really good basketball player. Now, to be transparent, I don't remember why he went out of the league. It might have been injuries. I would have to go back and look at that, but everybody says vet, somebody that can handle the ball, somebody that when they need to has shown the ability to score. Victor Oladipo. Put that name in your back pocket. You might not hear it again here in Sacramento, but I haven't heard anybody else say that name here in Sacramento. So I wanted to throw that out there. Victor Oladipo. So there you go. That was Friday. What's up, Horse? How you doing, brother? Happy to have you here. Andre, what's up, man? Thanks for checking in. Yeah, we did talk about, it's been the talk of the off season. My stance is unchanged with Russell Westbrook, Andre. I think one scout that spoke to, what was it, Hoops Alert, and that was via, this was reposted by Hoops Alerts. It was via a well-known national NBA reporter, but a anonymous scout said, I would not touch him in a million years. You can't rely on him in terms of what's going to happen. Yeah, he'll have great games, sure, but he can't shoot. He plays his own way. He's not going to fit into a system. He doesn't really defend. In terms of truly building a winning team, you don't get him on your team. End quote. I think it sums it up really well. And this is not a case where, Russ, what he brings to the young guys, his leadership, etc., it's not mutually exclusive. Two things can be true at once. I think that is a very good summary of where Russ is at. And had the Kings set the boundaries with Russ, which other teams like the Nuggets, the Lakers tried to do, Houston tried to do, I don't know that Russ would even be a topic of conversation here in Sacramento last year, because he was very many reports that with his role on those teams, although he did them, it was not always smooth sailing behind the scenes. Scott Perry, when he was asked about it, I thought his answer was very telling of where the Kings stand. So I think the Kings, specifically Scott Perry, and I can't say Doug Christie, but I think the team as a whole of what's going on right now in Sacramento, I think the team loses a lot of credibility if you bring Russell Westbrook back, because what's being sold to you right now is it's about the young guys. And you have already had Russ come in and asked everybody else to adjust to Russ, whether they liked it or not. I don't see the Kings reining that back. I just don't. They didn't do it last season. Is it going to happen this season? I don't think it can. So, no, I think you lose a lot of credibility. That olive branch that's growing, that they planted, the olive tree that they planted at the end of last season, putting the young guys first, saying last year was about, identifying. Last year was about evaluations. This year, this coming season, is about development. You can't do it. And here's the other problem. Here's the other problem that I don't think a lot of people are saying. I said it about Zach LaVine last night with Grant. If you bring Russell Westbrook back with the new lottery rules, in the NBA about tanking, etc. And let's say he gets high usage again, similar to last year, and then you decide to sit him down, that presents its own set of problems. Because if you're the Kings, you have to run this thing as clean as possible. You have to play your best players. If your best players aren't playing well, then you sit them down. But you have to play your best players for 82 games, because the most important part of the new rule that's in place for the lottery, the new rules that are in place for the lottery, is the fact that Adam Silver has the discretion to change picks, to change odds, to move things around. He has increased discretion. So if the Kings were one of the 3 worst teams and they played their best players the entire season, you need to have a clean pitch to make to Adam Silver as to why your highest percentage to get any single pick at 25% shouldn't be the 12th pick. So I think that could even bring that whole argument could then come into play, unfortunately, if you bring Russ back. So, and the last thing that I will say, because yesterday I was singing the praises, or at least acknowledging the fact that I do think Doug Christie, and BJ brought it up in his call, I do think Doug and Scott are pretty aligned. And I think in a way they both need each other. If Russell, you know what, I will go on the record right now, based off of everything that Scott Perry I've seen on, off the record, people I've talked to, the moves the Kings have made, the rhetoric he has had in public, when on the record with other outlets, I will go on the record right now and say, if Russell Westbrook is a King next season, it is because of Vivek Ranadive. So I hope Scott can continue with Doug's support, and Doug with Scott's support, playing the game a little bit better than Vivek Ranadive. That's your hope right now. Because the second you run out veteran lineups and you see Russell Westbrook take 14 3-pointers in the first half, I'm exaggerating there, this fan base is going to turn like that. Especially if you have an Emmanuel Sharp that's playing really well. Malik Monk's playing really well. I haven't even said Darius Acuff Jr.'s name. The last thing you want this season, and I know Jerry Reynolds says this all the time, you don't want to hand players playing time. They still need to earn it. But I also, if I believe Darius Acuff Jr. is the guard of the future for the Sacramento Kings, he's the franchise guy. I'm not saying that, but if I believe that, you don't want him looking over his shoulder, making mistakes. You want him playing free. Now, you don't want him to make the same mistake twice, but you want him to play free. And I don't know that happens if you have Russell Westbrook sitting behind you. Look what happened with Schroeder last year. I asked Doug straight up before a game, and I knew the answer before I asked it to Doug, but I wanted to hear if Doug would answer it. As such, I said, can you explain? And this is when the young guys were playing pretty good. There was a chemistry. You could see a different brand of basketball to a degree. I asked Doug, how big of a difference is it when you are a young guy and you know you have runway in front of you and you don't have to look over your shoulder? He said, it's everything. Hell, I think they played it in the Golden One Center before a game, that answer. So I think you are really murkying the waters if you bring Russ back. You just can't do it, in my opinion. Can't do it. And if it does happen, it's Vivek Ranadive. Logically, it does not make sense with everything the Kings have done this off season. It just doesn't. Does not make sense. You know what does make sense to me, by the way? I'm going to get to your comments in a second. We'll close out the show. With training camp coming up, a guy that I have kept very close tabs on as a player, watched him take the Kings, Stockton Kings, to the Western Conference Finals, watched him take the Stockton Kings to a G League championship, watched him be an asset to the team without actually being one of the 5 players on the floor. It's this dude.
Go Stockton!
It's Mason Jones. Training camp is for opportunity. Training camp is also giving guys that might not, most likely will not make an NBA roster, but can play in the G League. It's seeing what they can do. Great example, Dylan Cardwell last season. You've seen some other vets that come in sometimes during training camp. You want a really good example? Landry Shambit from the Knicks. He was a guy that was probably, if Mike Brown wasn't the coach, would not have been on the Knicks last year. And look at what he contributed to their championship run. Anyways, Mace, he's 29. He looks better than ever. He's training right now in Dallas, working out, getting run in at SMU. He had a really good finals for his team over in China. He played really well in Australia. Mace is not eligible for another 2-way contract. So for Mason, it's G League or NBA. G League or NBA or international. He can't be a 2-way again. I would like to see the Kings bring Mason, give him a training camp invite. He is in tremendous shape. He knows the vets that are on this team. He's played with the vets that are on this team. And he's also a great dude in the locker room. He's an excellent guy in the locker room. And if nothing else, he will push those guards in training camp. But I also think Mace is good enough to be on an NBA roster somewhere. Maybe it's not here in Sacramento because of the guard situation, but he deserves a shot. He has shown that he can play at a very high level. He knows what the Kings do. Sure. Is he a great defender? No. But he is one of those guys that I've talked about in the past that understand roles. And he's tremendous. His energy that he brings, even when he is not in the game, it's awesome. Dude has worked his ass off. I hope the Kings are considering inviting him to training camp. So wanted to bring him up as well. So we'll see. All right, let's get to your comments and we will wrap up the day. Appreciate y'all being here on the Kings Court. Lynn, thanks for calling in, doing his own show. Go Spurs, go. Go Paolo, go. Andre, he tore his knee in the playoff, I believe, with Miami. You talking about Oladipo? He was out of the league last year. He played some G League last season in Wisconsin, limited, but he looks rested. He looks good. I think right now, and you were looking at a list of the available guards. It's not, it's not exactly popping with names that are going to come to Sacramento or names that haven't already been in Sacramento. So, that's why I brought him up Friday. Oladipo's hungry. And that's not saying that the rest of these guys aren't. That's not saying that Russell Westbrook isn't always hungry. It's different when you've been out and you start this grassroots thing. You do a workout, which the Kings attended in Vegas, and now he's reportedly on their board. He's going to have multiple opportunities or invites to various training camps. I do believe that. What he's looking for, probably Oladipo, is a guarantee before training camp. Would the Kings go as far as to do that? We'll kind of keep our finger on that pulse of that. Let's see. BJ, what's up? Question, is the league retiring James Harden by not giving him a new contract? Maybe. No, he'll land somewhere. He will. At a different number. You know, there's a lot of these guys, I can promise you, because LeBron's never taken a pay cut. And granted, not the guys that like a James Harden, he's not on LeBron's level. But there is a few of these vets that I don't think are thrilled about LeBron playing for the minimum, because now there is a quote unquote precedent. The best player in the, or considered the best player in the NBA, the leader of the NBA, is playing on a minimum. James Harden, that might mean you would be playing on a minimum. Signing Westbrook is the Kings' best chance of getting a Hall of Famer in the next decade if he retires as a King. Stop it, Peter. Peter.
I'm not a smart man.
Don't put that crap in the ether. Don't give that shit any run. Yes, I cussed. I'm sorry. Because, Peter, who owns the Kings? I've gone on record and said I would not be surprised, because Westbrook became the, the highest scoring point guard of all time here in Sacramento. Like, the record was broke in Sacramento. I would not be surprised, or put it beyond your owner, from putting a banner up for him. What about Rick Adelman? Missed the boat there. And if they even consider doing an Adelman night, that's going to be an awful look. I think the Adelman family... Well, Jerry, you know what? I'm not even going to say what I think. Jerry addressed it last week. Jerry Reynolds here tomorrow, by the way. Make sure that you come back. That is on eFreaking-Power. Yeah. I know the commissioner looks like an alien in one of my video games. What are you saying, man? Are you saying Adam Silver looks weird? What are you getting at?
E.T. home phone.
Lynn, are you proposing that Adam Silver comes from the same planet as Sam Cassell? Is that what we're doing here, Lynn? It's not me doing it. It's Lynn. Commish, I didn't say you looked like an alien.
E.T. home phone.
Adam Silver, man. Dude's got some work to do. He's got some real issues. His time as commissioner has never been his future as the NBA commissioner is like right now in a briefcase hanging above a wrestling ring. He has to get this Clippers thing right. It is so nuanced, and it is the perfect storm in which you can piss off the owners and you can piss off the players. Remember, he works for the owners. The owners do not take salary cap evasion lightly. He's got to get it right. Like, his commissionership could be up for grabs on this one. And it is a very nuanced situation. Need each other. Yep. I thought you made a good point of that. Throw Sharp out there for 20 minutes. Look, Sharp looks like he is going to be a heck of a guy. Oladipo, very much so. Very, very much so. Is Vince Carter still available? Tristan, Tristan, Vince Carter was great here in Sacramento. Vince Carter was a model of what you, and you know what? I'm going to give the Kings credit too. The way that the Kings handled Vince Carter, both sides get all the credit in the world for that. That is the exact example of what it should look like when you have a guy that used to be the guy, but is no longer that guy. That's how it's supposed to look. He got his moments here and there. Remember when he went for 40 one night? But the stuff he was doing behind the scene with the coaches, like, that's how it should be done. Consummate professional right there. You know who this team's going to miss? As funny as it sounds, Doug McDermott. Doug was so good for those guys behind the scenes. That will be missed. Yeah, I meant as an assistant coach. Hey, don't drag ET into this. I didn't drag ET into this. Tristan dragged ET into this. He's the one that said that, which made me ask, if he is an alien, is he from the same planet as Sam Cassell? It's a fair question. Que no? That's what I hear all the time in my house. Que no? Fair question. Fair question. All right, we're going to get ready to wrap up. It's been a fun show. You did it. We are through the Tuesday edition. We'll be back tomorrow with Jerry Reynolds. Looking forward to it. If you're just joining us now, make sure, if this is like, get up in here. We had 4 calls yesterday, and just for the record, it was the highest downloaded show in the history of the King's Court. Don't let the YouTube numbers, because it's the middle of August and people are on vacation, etc., and there's nothing to talk about in the sports world, don't let that fool you about the reach of this show and the reach of this channel. It's out there. So get up in here, give us your takes, give us calls, get your reps in. This is something you want to do. You want to be in front of a microphone. Maybe you're in front of a microphone. You're only getting a view here, a view there. Start getting some reps in here, man. Happy to help. Be heard. And thank you to everybody that listens via the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. You can find it, The King's Court with Ryno, anywhere where you download podcasts. Also, don't forget King's Court Discord, getting ready to launch. We've already got a good number of founders. Thank you to all of our founders already. By the way, my mom is a founder. My mom hits me up and she's like, I want to be a founder. I'm like, okay, I'll put you in Discord. And she's like, no, I want to give you the $20. I'm like, Mom, you're not giving me $20 to be in Discord. No, I'm going to be, I want to give you 20. And sure enough, even though I said no, there it comes in Venmo. So Mom, thank you. You are a founder. You did not need to do that, but I appreciate it. What's Discord? It is a digital meeting space, and it's much different than this platform because we're all in there talking together. I'm not talking down to you or, bringing you up for calls. It's a conversation. It's going to be a place where we meet monthly. We're going to have some live watch parties for games, and we're going to have some exclusive guests. I've already got a couple of commitments, which means it's kind of off the platform or off the record platform for us to gather, for me to give you information that I'm not ready to talk about yet here on the King's Court on the record, and to really kind of make your experience viewing the Kings a little bit more fun and a little bit more inside. You're going to get more inside baseball here on the channel from me there on Discord. We're going to have monthly game nights with prizes as well, all sponsored by Bennett's. $20 get you a founders membership, Venmo, PayPal links there, and also get you a founders t-shirt compliments of Bennett's. If you don't want to sign up now, no worries. You want to wait till we launch and everybody's talking about it, you can sign up then. It'll be a monthly subscription once we launch. So looking forward to getting that going as we get closer to the season. Everybody looking forward to Jerry Reynolds Wednesday tomorrow? I know I am. Should be a good show. Appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks to Lynn for, right? Thanks to Lynn for calling in. Jerry Reynolds played against a surgery. Yeah, that's not even the craziest story that Jerry Reynolds had. What was the story that he gave us last week? For instance, okay, if you've never joined us for Jerry Reynolds Wednesday, I just asked this question. I was like, Jerry, have you ever played one-on-one with Larry Bird? Or maybe somebody put it in the chat. And Jerry's like, no, never played one-on-one with Larry Bird. And he goes, but there's this other guy. And Tristan remembers the guy's name. The guy's name is so French Lick, Indiana. And this is where this is all happening, French Lick. And it was a guy that played at his high school, at Jerry's high school, the decade before Jerry, or the decade after Jerry. And so they were going back and forth about who was the best high school player between the two of them. And Larry's like, why don't you guys play one-on-one? I'll be the official. And Jerry's like, no. Yes, Beezer. His first name was Beezer. That's right. Anyways, Jerry's like, no, I don't trust you to be the official, Larry. Yeah, you're a Hall of Famer. You're one of the best players in the world, but you're going to screw me on the whistle. So, you know who else was there? Rick Carlisle. Yes, that Rick Carlisle, NBA head coach. Rick Carlisle officiated the one-on-one matchup, and Jerry won. So stories like that is what you get on Jerry Reynolds Wednesday. So looking forward to it. Make it a great rest of the day. Stay cool. It is hot out there. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one. We're out. Court's dismissed.